Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, November 15th, 2020. It's a new moon in Scorpio today, offering a rebirth. It's in a sextile with Jupiter and Pluto, making nice. So, and this is the Pluto and Jupiter are in their final conversation before moving on to new territory. Yay. Good morning, small wildflowers. Good morning, Juan. Good morning, 14 Ree. Good to see everybody. Good morning, Cantata. I'm not sure how to say that right. Anyway, so what I want to do, welcome Janos, welcome Lyra, Stephen, good morning, Cece Pups, Sarah, Nikki. So I want to offer this. I want to talk about this new moon because this new moon is in the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio offers us that deep, intense look underneath the surface. And I feel like this is an opportunity to make sense of all the aspects that we've been going through. I know that we still have some challenges ahead of us as a human race, but I also feel like as these disruptions have illuminated things that are out of balance for us, within our personal lives, within our communities, within our governments, our politics, etc. So as we make this declaration on this Scorpio new moon today, it is happening today. And yesterday, I believe it was, that Mars moved direct in Aries. And so these two things to me are starting to move the story forward. Starting to really look at where we've been, make sense of where we've been, and then take it to the next level. This conjunction, or I shouldn't say conjunction, the sextile between the new moon and Pluto and Jupiter also has the opportunity to offer, or has the influence to offer, new opportunities for abundance. So I really want to, and it's also, I want to say it this way, because if indeed that opportunity is not standing in alignment or in integrity, it will have a certain amount of material success, but then it could have a reversal. We want to be very, very mindful of our integrity right now. So anyway, good morning, everybody. I just got distracted by the chat, so I apologize for that. Anyway, so we have a new moon. We have an opportunity for a rebirth. And I want to say this too, because Scorpio also represents other people's money. So there could be the potential that some of you will inadvertently receive a gift of some kind that you weren't expecting. So be on the mindful for that. And if you get a pull to play a lottery ticket, go ahead. Buy a scratcher for $1. Can't hurt anybody. So that's what I've got going as far as the stars this week. Kind of focused in on, yay, Mars is moving direct in Aries, so we can start feeling like we can get some traction in our endeavors. And I want to offer it this way as well, because when I think about traction, I don't necessarily think about hitting the ground running as much as I think it's about making strategy plans, starting to really think at a deeper level of what I would like to birth. And then rather than think about the viability of that birth, thinking about how would it feel if I was sitting in that experience. Patricia, is it your birthday today? Happy birthday. New moon, happy birthday. So make a special wish. Oh, it was on the 12th. So, well, happy birthday on the 12th. I'm glad I caught that. Another very special person in my life had a birthday on the 12th. So happy birthday to all you Scorpios. And let's jump into our readings now. We're going to do our normal for Teri, start at Pisces and work our way towards Aries. And I want to offer it this way too, because as you pay attention to the new beginning that this new moon offers in the sign of rebirth, we also have an eclipse season coming. So I feel like even though they're independent events, they're also somehow, I feel like, setting the intention on the new moon can give these eclipses even more opportunity to produce something of favorable interest. Okay, let's start with our Pisces. Yeah, Sarah, I start backwards because Pisces always has to wait till the end. So I sort of thought I've got Uranus in the 5th house, Leo, and it makes me want to do things different. All right, let's see. Our first angel for our Pisces is Shanti, the angel of peace. The second in the opportunity or the obstacle is Grace and Antoinette, the angels of compassion. Then we have Archangel Raphael, the angel of physical healing in the angel's advice. And then we have Oceana that represents taking loving action. Welcome, Melissa. I'm glad you made it on time. Hi, Julie. Okay, here we go. I'm going to add the Camelot deck to this for those of you that haven't been around a while. Okay, here we go. Shanti is being joined by the swan, representing intuitive and psychic transformation. In the opportunity of the obstacle, we have Grace and Antoinette being joined by the goblin. In the angel's advice, we have Archangel Raphael being joined by the Lady of the Lake. And then in the final position, we have Oceana being joined by the forgiveness card. Okay, so I started off mentioning briefly that we have this new moon in a sextile to Jupiter and Pluto and their conjunction. They're about a degree apart right now. And that, to me, speaks very highly that Pisces in this new moon is going to experience new peace of mind, peace of heart as a result of some sort of epiphany that you've had. There's something that's going to come to you that the swan, it feels like the swan is not representing sort of going to a psychic and getting a reading as much as it's an internal epiphany that you have, that the thing you may be chasing, the thing that you may have thought would bring you happiness is not really completely filling the bill. So as you have this moment of realization, and I want to say it this way because it doesn't feel necessarily like it has to do with somebody else. It feels more like it has to do with yourself and how you've been perceiving things. And I say that because in the opportunity, the obstacle, it's about having compassion for your ego. And if your ego, let's say Pisces has been pursuing a relationship that's been difficult, whether it be a sibling relationship, a friendship relationship, or even an intimate relationship. And you know this relationship has been out of balance. You know you've been working too hard in this relationship. And yet at the same time, you're being kind of compelled to do that. This is the time to have compassion for your ego as you see an old pattern that has been bubbling up. This is Scorpio new moon, and you have compassion as you have the courage to look at it and then allow for the reconciliation of it, which brings a physical healing. And I want to say the physical healing because it doesn't feel like it's the physical body as if I've hurt myself, cut myself, and now the cut is gone. It feels like it brings into the physical experience something that is evidential or proves that you have looked at that situation and invited in more peace. Because in the final position, Pisces, we have Oceana taking action, coming up through this emotional seas and through the light. And there's a whale in the background here, which really represents the soul's yearning, the soul's, the deepest level of the soul's intention and soul's appetites and preferences. And here's the forgiveness card, which represents reconciliation for me. So what I'm seeing for Pisces is that somewhere this new moon and this last meeting between Pluto and Jupiter is bringing some sort of rebirth to the beliefs you have about yourself. And those beliefs are not about villainizing the old belief or making yourself wrong, but rather seeing that this is an opportunity for you to feel a rebirth in who and what you are and what you are experiencing here on this planet. So this week, as you walk through your days, kind of ask yourself, what do I get to do versus what do I think I have to do or I should do? And as you step into that energy, I think there'll be more illuminations coming forward. All right, let's go on to our Aquariuses. I believe Neptune is still retrograde in Pisces right now. So that's also making aspects to this new moon. I just can't quite remember what it is. All right, here we go. On to our Aquariuses. I'll tell you, you're about to experience some interesting things, Aquarius, as Jupiter moves into and Saturn moves into your sign. I'm really kind of looking forward to seeing on some level, and slightly nervous about seeing what that dynamic is going to bring, because it's really going to revolutionize how we're doing things. I'm trying to fix the lighting here on this computer. I hope it's not too dark for you all. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start with Aquarius rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And I say stelliums because if you have 4 or more planets in one house or sign, then it is extremely influential on your life path, and you should pay attention to that. So if indeed you have your sun in Aquarius, your moon in Virgo, and your rising sign is Capricorn, but you have Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto all, and Saturn all in Libra, pay attention to Libra, because there's something going on there. Okay, on to Aquarius. I say the moon second because I believe that the moon represents our emotions, and so often we take our actions based on our emotions. And our rising sign is really the first point in our natal chart that sets the tone for who and what we are on this planet. Okay, here we go. All right, our first angel for Aquarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums is Xana, the angel of protection. The second is Astera, saying to reach for the stars with our dreams and our desires. Shanti is in the angel's advice, the angel of peace. And then we have Rochelle. Rochelle is the angel that says when you follow your heart, things start to open up for you. Prosperity comes to you in all forms. Okay, joining Xana is the disruption card. Joining Astera is the history card, the Baird. Joining Shanti is the partnership card. And joining Rochelle is the wealth card. All right, so, Aquarius is an interesting dynamic because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. And I want to say, I personally, Teri, I was taught by Lada, so I am Western whole sign. And when I think about the ancient ruler of Saturn being following the rules, and Uranus being, I want to do things my way. I want to be independent in my thought and my actions. You have this almost contrary influence between how the ancients saw it and how modern day sees it. And the reason I bring this up this way is because I think for Aquarius, this Xana and the disruption card in the foundational position doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be protected through disruption. But what I feel like it means is the disruption offers something that you can't see right now. It's almost as if the act of something being disruption or disruptive is the act of being protected, because you're somewhere, Aquarius is stuck between Saturn and Uranus. And I say it because Saturn representing the old story and Astera representing reaching for the stars with my dreams and my desires and not compromising. So this is really about something I haven't yet experienced, but want to experience. This is my opportunity and or my obstacle. And in order for you to feel peace, you've got to get in partnership with your desires rather than going back to your history. Because your history in some ways is being disrupted, and it's actually protecting you from going down the path so far that you can't get out of it. It's those people that say, well, I've been working at the market for 15 years and I've got my 401k invested in, and I need to work another 10 years here in order to get out my 25 grand of la 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 la. So that's where I'm going with this. Something about disrupting, because as you come into partnership, not with somebody else on this planet, but with your own desires, your own dreams, your own oversoul that is holding space for you. Because Aquarius, the final position is Rochelle saying that prosperity is coming to you as you honor your heart. And there's the harmonious wealth card. And I want to offer it this way because this conjunction between Pluto and Jupiter is the thing that millionaires are made of. So very much so, I want to say for Aquarius to look a little bit deeper into situations. And if you're feeling like somebody's throwing you off kilter or things have been, I want to kind of blowing you up a little bit, I feel like there's a bigger wisdom behind those little bombs. And if you allow them to go off, then when the dust settles, you'll see something much more beautiful and have the heart to allow for it and pursue it. Because right now, somewhere responsibility or the old story is interrupting that. Okay, that's where I'm going. On to Capricorn. Here we go. Capricorn, finally getting a little bit of a break as things move out, further away, spread out, guys. All right, I'm sorry. I see somebody is having a kitty issue. I have to scroll back real quick. I hope, Capricorn, you'll give me a minute to just look. Nikki, is it your kitty? All not okay. Floppy still plays, but is vomiting every 4 or 5 days. This it may be something. Did you change the food for the cat or something like that? Because they do go through phases, and as someone says, if indeed the cat's been cleaning itself a lot, it may be hairballs. I used to have a cat that barfed pretty regularly, and he lived to be 18 years old, and I didn't even get him till he was like 2 or 5 or something. So, and look at the gums, smell the breath, smell the ears. Okay, she's on non-allergic food. Okay. All right. Well, we'll send prayers for your kitty. I don't know. Is the name Floppy? I don't know what you. Okay. Sorry if it keeps freezing. Right now, my computer says everything's fine. I'm going on to Capricorn now. All right. Here we go. Whoops. Capricorn, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Sonia. This represents our guides and those that love us on the other side. We have Archangel Michael in the opportunity and or the obstacle. We have Adriana in the angel's advice, and then we have Ray in the final position. This is for Capricorn, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, Sonia is being joined by the Fire Fairy. Archangel Michael is being joined by Merlin. Adriana is being joined by the Water Fairy. And Ray is being joined by the Mystery. This is very interesting to me because Capricorn, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Sonia it represents a deceased loved one, and many of us have experienced people crossing over recently due to all sorts of reasons. But I want to offer it this way because when I look at this, I feel like this is really more about your team, about your team of guides and angels and loved ones that watch over you. And I feel like it's time to take the Saturnian pessimistic kind of depressed dynamic of Saturn and start to really see what it has to offer you, because they're saying it's time to look for the optimism in life, to look how I almost want to go back to to Aquarius in some ways and say there's a similar energy to you being protected through disruption. And it's time to start to have creative thoughts and to be excited about things. And I want to say it this way because if you look at the world right now, if you look at things that are happening around us, there's not a lot to be excited about. Things feel very, we're experiencing, I know in England, there's some shutdowns that have started again because of COVID. I know in France, it's the same thing. We're seeing it happening here in the States as well. So where I'm going with this is if you look at the world, you look at the news, it's going to trigger all the Saturnian stuff that's going to make life feel like one big, long, arduous journey. And here I think it's time for Capricorn to look a little bit deeper, because Archangel Michael is asking you to have the courage to make life changes. In this deck, he really represents more of courage than protection. We have Xana representing protection. And here we have justice and balance represented through Merlin. This is the opportunity. But in order to do it, you're going to have to connect with spirit and ask them to continue to anchor your optimism. Because the world is, as it gets more disruptive, it's easy to see how the old structures are breaking down, but we don't know how the new structures will replace them in a way that will make us happy. And Adriana is saying that she is leading you to the answers to your prayers, to your dreams and your desires. And this is in a way where I think this is more intuitive to me. It's almost as if Capricorn and some of the earth signs don't get a lot of credit for being intuitive. And yet when you're under the influence of something that makes you feel fearful, it will stoke your intuition, because you'll be looking to see where that fear is coming from. Because in the final position, we have Ray, and then we have the mystery card. And for my Capricorns, I believe that your real power, your real ability to create and to make this journey of life more about your own choices is the more you spend time connecting with spirit. And when I say that, I mean it in such a way where this isn't like you're trying to just meditate and be quiet and receive information. It's more like Capricorn finding I almost want to say it's like this, Capricorn, having an everyday conversation with spirit when you're walking down the street, driving in your car, cooking a meal. You'd be surprised how spirit can go and literally almost have a conversation. It happens to me all the time. I have been calling forth the energy of Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you're familiar with it, laws of attraction, but I've studied for quite some time now. And I know that Esther is the primary facilitator for Abraham, but I also believe that Abraham has been working with me. And I asked Abraham the other day, are you working with me, or am I imagining this? And then 2 days later, I was listening to a lecture where Abraham was talking about working with many people on the planet, not just Esther, but just in a different capacity. So there was my answer. So this is where I'm going with Capricorn. As you become more creative in your connection with spirit and allow yourself the privilege of conversation with them, and then rather than trying to expect a human to answer you in a human way, opening your mind and your heart up to see how the answer comes through various avenues. And this, I think, will give you the courage to start to make some changes in your physical experience that are more aligned to what you want to receive on this planet. That's how I want to put it. Okay, on to our Sagittariuses. Okay. All right, here we go. Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Thank you, Shinli. That was very sweet. Thank you so much. Sending lots of love to you, Melissa. Here we go. All right, Sag. Our first angel is Maya. The second is Bridget. The third is Vanessa. And the final is Crystal. I sometimes laugh at the artwork for the cards because it really shifts things. And I'm going to explain why I'm saying that for Sagittarius in just a minute. Maya is being joined by the letting go card. In the opportunity, the obstacle, Bridget is being joined by the butterfly. In the angel's advice, we have the wealth card joining Vanessa. And in the final position, we have Crystal being joined by the hawk. So for my Sagittariuses, I want you to look at Maya real quickly at the picture of the angel, because she's sitting. I mean, this does not look like school attire, does it? This is a card representing schooling and education, having influence over your divine life path. But I want to say it this way, because those of you that have watched me for a while know that the letting go card represents the song Let It Go from the movie Frozen. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. And I feel like for my Sagittarius, this garment is resonating with a vulnerability to learn. The flip side of Jupiter is a bit of a pompous energy, a know-it-all energy, the grand teacher. And I feel like at this time, Sagittarius has an opportunity to learn about vulnerability, to learn about your own vulnerability, to learn about how being a little bit, because when I say vulnerability, it's not about exposing yourself to danger or to hurt. It's about the truth of your heart. Because in order to blossom like the butterfly, to come out of the cocoon, it's going to take a little bit of time and to look deeper into, are you really standing in faith as Jupiter, your ruling planet, represents, or are you somehow skimming the surface of that? Because the angels are saying that it's your faith, taking actions on your faith, that's going to bring you harmonious wealth. But part of that comes through the vulnerability of learning about energy, learning about intention, learning about how your focus, it creates and manifests what you experience. So here, Spirit is saying to you, Sagittarius, something is greater on the horizon. And the way you're going to start to see it is to look for the signs and the omens that only Spirit can give you, that only the laws of attraction. And then to take not just the law of attraction, but to capitalize it or capitalize on it with the law of allowing. Oftentimes we attract many things and we get fearful and we won't walk through the opportunity. So Spirit is saying for Sagittarius, look deeper into your beliefs, and are your beliefs inspiring you or holding you in a fear-based place? Because if indeed they are, your willingness to be brave in your looking on this new moon in Scorpio for a rebirth gives you an opportunity to stand in a place of faith, that the wealth you're looking for, the ease along life's path, will start to reveal itself. And I want to say it this way too, because this having faith and hope in a time of unknowing and learning to look for the signs and the omens is a way of actually being of service to others, of strengthening your connection to Spirit. I sometimes laugh, honestly, because I live alone, so I talk to myself all the time, and I talk to the dog, and I talk to Spirit. And when I get an answer, sometimes I'm like, really? Really? I can't believe that happened. But I do believe it. And it's through the repetition of it and through the almost, I want to say, testing of it sometimes, where I'm like, are you listening? Hello up there, you listening? And then my job is to look and see, because sometimes the answer I want may not be the answer that's the best for my happiness. And that might be what I'm learning in being vulnerable to my connection to Spirit. All right, let's go on to our Scorpios. It's your moon. It's your birth month, and it's your rebirth. This new moon, where the sun and the moon come together, man and woman come together to create something new. The influence lasts about 2 weeks until the next moon, and this next moon is going to be an eclipse. So I really want to kind of say to my Scorpios, look at your birthday month, your solar return. What do you want to declare as you step forward into this new year, and to call it forth? Because I believe that while many people may experience disruption in a negative way, those of us holding space and connection to Spirit will experience disruption in a very positive way, in a way that brings forth things we might not have imagined. So as we open the door for that, Spirit says thank you, because we create balance. We bring wisdom to the disruption. All right, here we go. Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And if you're a stellium in Scorpio, you are an intuitive, and you should be a detective. You should be an intuitive. You should be an astrologer. Not should. You don't have to should anything. Trust your intuitions. All right, here we go. Our first angel is Mystique. The second is Adriana. The third is Bridget. And the final is Archangel Uriel. Okay. It's funny, I've worked with these cards for such a long time, and then every once in a while something hits me in a way that never did before. Mystique is being joined by the Love card. Adriana's being joined by the Frog. Bridget's being joined by the Risk card. And Archangel Uriel's being joined by the Dragon. Okay, so my Scorpios. Today when I see Mystique, I can't help but see the very tip of her horn with that bright light on it. And Mystique says, keep charging ahead, expect miraculous solutions. And then here we have the Love card. I really want to offer it this way. For those of you that are single, my single Scorpios, it's really time to put some spit and polish on the idea that your love life is viable. And if indeed you've been settling for partners that are not aligned to you, don't have the same interests than you, then this is really an opportunity to take the idea of your ruling planet, Pluto, in alignment with Jupiter, to really look deeply at what do I believe about my love life and what I deserve, because you're being led to a greater place. And that place is a cleanup of, and I want to say it this way, the cleaning up of an emotional issue isn't because you got rid of it or you've exterminated it or you've eradicated it. It's because you've made wisdom of it. And that's why I believe this talks about cleaning house, because we live in the house of our mind. And for Scorpio, while your mind often drifts down into the depths of the human experience, looking to see what is safe and what isn't safe. And I think it's time to start to trust that deeper look. That's what the Risk card is. The Risk card is trusting the deeper look, and the deeper look being that if something is not working, if something is constantly in a state of challenge, it's not aligned. And how brave will you be, Scorpio, to see that? Because otherwise you're just going to go through almost a washing machine of feeling irritated and disempowered. And I feel like Archangel Uriel, while he talks about unforgiveness, talks about being angry, I really feel like this is about Scorpio being a little bit angry at self for knowing something, a deep knowing about whatever's going on in your love life, and not necessarily being able to shift it. It's almost like there's a conflict between your heart and your head is getting judgy, thinking you should be able to do something that the heart isn't ready to do. So when you stop doing that, then you'll have an easier way of moving beyond it. I hope that makes sense, because I think for Scorpio, I'm feeling more love coming your way. Honestly, I'm feeling that it's not to give up on love. And I want to put it this way, because it could be intimate love, but it feels like it's feeling love in general. Like I feel valuable on this planet. I feel like people, like when I walk in a room, everybody's like glad to see me. And I really feel like that's where we're headed. So it's not about needing a partner. It's about enjoying. I'm going to sound a little weird, but I don't enjoy the human experience because most people are so full of nonsense. I almost said shit because that's what I think. But when I meet those people that are authentic and there's that alignment, it supersedes everything else. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. We're not all meant to be in one big pack together. I mean, we are all a pack of humans, but we have various interests. So when we go into the lane of our interests and we find commonality, the human experience is a lot better. That's the way I want to put it. So to me, that's what I'm seeing here for my Scorpios. Keep moving towards what you love. And if something feels disruptive, then look a little deeper. Am I in some ways contributing to that disruption because I'm afraid to move past it? I'm afraid if I move past it, I'll lose something. And what if you don't lose anything at all? What if instead you gain something? Have you ever been with somebody and you think, oh my God, if I break up with them, they're just going to throw me out. They're just going to be gone. I'm disposable. And then you finally get sick of them and you throw them out and then they won't go away. That's kind of where I'm going with that. All right, here we go. On to our Libras. Patricia, I was thinking about you this morning. I'm so glad to see you in the chat. You've been on my mind all day, so very funny. I'm glad you're here. I sent you that energetic phone call. All right, here we go. Libra, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All right. First angel is Indriel. The second is Bridget. She's come out a lot, hasn't she? Then we have Layla. And then we have Caressa. Pardon me, my eyes are watering. My dad had 3 divorces. He got it right eventually. All right, Indriel is being joined by the Wealth card. Bridget is being joined by the Love card. Layla is being joined by the Restriction card. And Caressa is being joined by the Protection card. All right, here we go. Indriel is a light worker card. Talks about shining your light on this planet that the planet needs your light. And when I think of light, I don't necessarily think of trying to walk around like a spiritual person. I think it's about feeling the enjoyment of life, feeling the rhythm of life. And if there's one thing Libra represents, it's balance. And in order for there to have balance, there is a certain amount of light and dark that must come together in order to create that balance. So here I believe that what is Spirit saying for the new moon for Libra? To go deep into what is your heart chakra, what makes you feel what you enjoy on this planet, and shine your light with it, because this is, you guys, I want to put it this way. Those of you that have watched for a while, a few weeks ago, I said that the sun rules Leo, and Leo rules pleasure. Leo rules romance. Leo rules the naivete of children and the enjoyment of children. And the sun rules the whole zodiac. That's where I'm going with this whole thing for Libra. It's time to see the balance and enjoyment and fun. And now here we have the Love card. Look deeper into what you love, what you own, what you love, instead of being fair that everybody feels love. Because I think it might be more fair, because Spirit is saying, don't restrict yourself in what you love. Celebrate what you love. Talk to God and the angels about what you love. Because Caressa is saying that we're at the end of a life cycle. And as humans, we are. We are at the end of a life cycle, and new happiness awaits us as some of the antiquated structures that we have operated on unconsciously are being broken up. And in doing so, the planet and the humans coming onto this planet, I should say the souls incarnating into humans on this planet, are wanting to express themselves from a joyous place, to joyously play with their own creations, whether it be, actual physical art, or their financial prowess, their physical being, to be a physically powerful person. So here, Libra, I feel like this new moon is an opportunity to declare what makes you happy, rather than trying to go to the 7th house of partnerships and what makes everybody happy. And as you look deeper into that, you see where you've been restricting yourself. And then when you see where you're restricting yourself, you'll see how inadvertently you may be restricting other people, because we have to be balanced. And sometimes the balance comes, or the balance is most enjoyed when we've been out of balance. Kooky crazy, this stuff that comes through my head. But I feel like there's a new chapter opening up. And I want to say this too, because whether we realize it or not, the cardinal signs, Libra, Aries, and Cancer, have been affected by this Capricorn party that's been going on for 2.5 years, basically opposing or squaring. So it's been challenging. We think, oh, I'm a Libra. It's not me. It doesn't affect me. Oh boy, it does. Because it hits you right there on your sun. All right, here we go. Let's go on to our Virgos. It can be a committed relationship if indeed that is what you want, MJBM. What Spirit really honestly does not have any investment in what we find enjoyable. If we choose love, because oftentimes I hear as a Libra, my North Node is in Libra, I'm supposed to be chasing partnerships. I don't know if I always think it's just about partnerships, because Libra represents diplomacy and harmony and working in coordination of things. So it doesn't always mean one-on-one. So we have to open ourselves up a little bit and broaden our our definitions of things and then hone our focus as to what makes us happy within that broad definition. I hope that made sense. On to our Virgos. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Look at me. I'm learning to cook with gas here, you guys. I'm getting quicker at this. And I want to, thank all 203 of you in the room right now. That feels awesome. All right, here we go. For our Virgos, our first angel is Serena. The second is Caressa. The third is Bridget. Bridget has come out almost every single reading so far. We must look deeper into our motives. Here we go. And in the final position for Virgo, we have Desiree. All right. Thank you, CJD. All right. Serena is being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. Scorpio new moon today. Caressa is being joined by the deer. Bridget's being joined by the novice, and Desiree is being joined by the wealth card. Okay, so this is where I'm going to go with this. Serena, for me, is an angel that really has so much subliminal energy that one doesn't quite look at or see initially. When you look at the card, it says, "I'm the angel of abundance." God is in charge of how that abundance will come. And what I think we miss most of the time of humans is the serene energy, is her arms are open, her eyes are closed. Humans define most of what they experience with their eyes. Their eyes then trigger their emotions. So think about it. Have you ever been in a club and you see your ex-boyfriend talking to another girl? The first thing you think is that girl is going after him, right? Then you find out it was his sister. I'm telling you, this is because there's a birth and a rebirth for Virgo to learn to start practicing serenity and abundance. I talked about the law of attraction, and that the law of attraction we do almost without even thinking. We're constantly attracting. But the law of allowing, to me, is when the key gets in the lock and turns. Because as I allow for the experience to come to me through ease, through effortlessness, through serenity, Virgo, then we start a new chapter. We start a new chapter of happiness because we've stopped being so darn critical of ourselves and started to implement more gentleness and diplomacy, that you are working in co-creation, not just creation. Because in the angel's advice is Bridget saying to look deeper and deeper into this new beginning, because it offers untold abundance. But part of it will have to come through Virgo's willingness to be led down a path versus actually being able to see the path and head down the path. Because in the final position is the wealth card and is Desiree. Desiree says conditions aren't favorable, but it's not the conditions outside. It has to do with practicing serenity. So I want to offer this. Those of you that watch the show all the time know that a few weeks ago, I felt like I got punched in the mouth, and I was having some dental issue. And I didn't want to go to the dentist because I don't have my dentist. He sold his practice and now it's a problem. But I did some things through the medical medium. I'm not talking about how I worked on it. But what I did do with spirit was I kept saying to them, I allow for the healing. My fear was looking at the problem constantly. Is it getting worse? Is it getting worse? Is it getting worse? And as I surrendered to, I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to feel my way through this. And then I took the guided, inspired action. And then I reminded spirit, I am allowing you to take over this situation and to heal where I cannot. That's Virgo. If it's financial, sorry, my dog started chewing on something. I thought he was peeing on the floor. Anyway, so that's what I want to say for Virgo, because there is a birth and a rebirth. What is this new moon today in Scorpio? It is a rebirth. And that rebirth is offering you wealth, but this is harmonious wealth. And the only thing that is not, the conditions may not be favorable about, is Virgo looking at how do I have to work hard to make that happen? No, it's relaxing and allowing. All right, let's go on to our Leos. Okay. And I really kind of want on this new moon today, as we now have 214 people in the room, I want you to ponder as individuals on a new moon, how much ease am I willing to invite in from spirit? Because we are so, what did you do today? We get home from work. What'd you do today? The do is where we get into trouble. It's the be first. What am I being? What is my belief about this? Do I like doing this work? Ease, right, Gia? So as we say, thank you, Spirit, for giving me the brave heart to believe in ease, that things come to me easily and often. All right, here we go. Start with the angel deck first. This is going to our Leos, rising, moon, sun, and stellium. So what I was going to say is not only the ease, but to ponder the idea that the sun rules the zodiac. And to think about, if the sun rules the zodiac, if every planet that gets near the sun is somehow outshined, which is what you'll learn, is the sun shines the brightest, then why isn't the fifth house the most important thing we do? Why don't we put the things we love first? If it was supposed to be work that we should focus in on, why isn't the sun rule Virgo or rule Capricorn? We mix things up around here. We gotta look deeper. All right, here we go. Leo, your first angel is Caressa. The second is Desiree. The third is Bridget, holy camole. And the final one is Serafina. All right. All right, here we go. Caressa is being joined by the Queen. Desiree is being joined by the Grail Knight. Bridget is being joined by the Owl. And Serafina is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Okay. So the Queen represents fertility, represents feminine energy, represents reception, receiving. I have Caressa, the end of a life cycle. I want to offer it this way for my Leos. You know, Leo gets a bad rap for being overly, I don't even want to use any words right now because I love Leo. I love Leo energy. So I don't want you to dumb down in any way. But I do believe that this is about more ease and reception. About it kind of, I feel like I'm piggybacking a little bit off of Virgo because this is about allowing things to come to you. We are in a time when, as we transform from Capricorn, and I say that because of the stellium. So Jupiter and Pluto will hang out in Capricorn longer, and Jupiter will move on. And I believe that that's going to rewrite a structure with Saturn and Jupiter going into Aquarius. So now I want to say for Leo, how do I allow for this chapter to close, but with ease as I move into what brings me the most joy? Because when I look at the Grail Knight and Desiree, I don't think that this is about balance right now. I think it's about kneeling down to the deeper truth. And it isn't time to necessarily take action, but to allow yourself to receive whatever emotional epiphanies, whatever spiritual insights that happen as you move towards as you walk towards this. I want to say it gently. There's a light coming on some sort of illusions for Leo. There may be a place where you were looking at something and you thought, if I love this enough, or if I work hard enough, it'll turn into this, and it's not. Because in the angel's advice is Bridget saying to look deeper, and there's good news and bad news. The Owl is deception and wisdom. So you may be operating or have been operating on this is good enough, but it's not. It's becoming, whatever the situation is, whether it be a work situation, whether it be an emotional situation, how you view yourself, Leo, or if it's, because I'm not seeing a relationship here. I'm not seeing this being about necessarily one person in your life creating disruption as much as it's about you receiving your rightful place. being like the queen, whether you're a man or a woman, I don't care. Receiving without effort, receiving with ease, and receiving what you want versus what you have settled for. What is the deeper truth? Because I don't think you've been sitting on it. And then as you see that that deeper truth reveals good news and bad news, now I have the courage to step into the vibration to truly bring me the happiness I want. Because here's the change to my family, and here's the Lady of the Lake. Now, Seraphina is holding a baby here. So we know that Leo represents children, and some of you may actually want to have children. This may be involving that, and the timing has not been right. You've experienced challenges. You haven't gotten pregnant, or you're a man and you have slow swimmers, or whatever the case may be that was disruptive. If you look deeper and you think to yourself, well, if I was incarnating on this planet right now, would I want to have that in my birth chart? Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter all conjunct in Capricorn? Holy camole. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it indicates a big mission. It indicates some sort of challenge. So what if, for my Leos, now is the time for you to actually say, well, maybe the closing of that chapter was the timing was not good. It wasn't good for me, and it wasn't good for the soul or the baby or the relationship to start. You know, if you think about it, some people may meet people and then have it be very fertile this time, and other people may meet people and it brings up your issues. It triggers an old pattern. So now it's time to allow that old pattern to sit where it does, Leo, and to sit back and to relax and to receive what it is you want, and to really get clear about what you want, not what you may think you want or thought you want in relation to others. Because there is a happy change coming, and part of it is cutting through the fat and getting to the truth. Okay, let's go on to our Cancers. And it's funny because as I was getting ready this morning, I was thinking about, I don't have a lot of Cancer energy. I don't have anything in the fourth house, no planets in the fourth house that I can think of. And so I don't really pay attention to it. And yet at the same time, I've been paying attention to the Saturn and everybody squaring my sun and my ascendant. So those of you that have Cancer energy, you've been having this opposition for 2.5, 3 years. So it may not even look like Cancer was being focused in on, but it is. So here we go. All right, here we go. Whoops. And if you're Cancer rising like Patricia here, and that would make Capricorn in your 7th house, right? So there would be this dynamic going on in your partnerships, in your contractual relationships, in your diplomacy. So interesting. All right, here we go. For our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I want to give this a good shuffle. I would think your Venus in Cancer would make you very warm and fuzzy, home and love, like your house would just be your sanctuary. All right, here we go. And your family as well. All right. For our Cancers, our first angel is Rosetta, the angel of children. The second is Fiona. The third is Caressa. And the final is Seraphina. These angels, I tell you, you know why I think they come out like over and over and over throughout the signs is because there's a theme going on, and we're all humans. And while we may come from different slices of the pie in the way we think, we're all experiencing similar things. So, all right, here we go. Rosetta is being joined by the dog. Fiona is being joined by the disruption card. Caressa is being joined by the fire fairy. And Seraphina is being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. Wow. Okay, so Rosetta talks about parenting, guiding children, teaching children. And then we have the dog, unconditional love, loyalty, and sincerity. This couldn't be more Cancerian, this energy. What does Cancer rule? The home. It rules hearth. It rules family. And so to me, this is on the forefront of this new moon. Okay. And I want to offer it this way because this new moon is in Scorpio, and we finish this spread with the birth and the rebirth card. It could be considered Pluto, and it's offering a change in your family, a happy change to your family. Now, I want to put it this way. I started with the first, and then I went to the fourth position, because when I go to the middle position, the opportunity and or the obstacle, we know that we've been experiencing disruption in 2020. You know, every year has its disruption, but this year, obviously, is a 5-star. It's a stellar athlete of disruption. But part of that disruption is bringing things to you that you can't imagine. And what I've been feeling for Cancer is almost been feeling that those that you love have a greater appreciation for who and what you are and how you show up in their lives. And I heard the word steady, a steadiness of that experience. So I feel like when I look at this, that there is this idea for Cancer that this disruption that has kind of been tugging at you. And I could even go back as far as to say, since this, as the activity in Capricorn started creeping up, depending upon where your sun or moon or your stellium is here, you're feeling this opposition, this tension pulling. But that's closing. That chapter is closing. New happiness awaits it. And there's the fire fairy. And I want to put it this way, because that's like a Mars energy or a Sagittarius fire energy. It's the spark of ideas and creativity. And I feel like Cancer has an opportunity to review this last situation, I want to say, or this last few months, this year. And while you see all this kind of nasty disruption, I think there's a wisdom that comes behind it. And it really makes not only the people around you appreciate you more, but you appreciating them more. And I feel like the love bubbles are giving new life to new situations, to new sense of love and to purpose. And I want to offer it this way, because I'm also getting the pull of, there may be many Cancers out there that are in some form of teacher, mentorship, counselor to younger people. It doesn't have to be children per se. I think that there's going to be a resurgence in your love for that, for your intention for how you're showing up. It's almost as if I've been feeling like Cancer has been feeling this sort of, I got put on the island of misfit toys and I've been stuck out there by myself. And now you're invited back onto the island with everybody else, and it's starting to, and they missed you more than you realized they missed you. And you, while you knew you missed them, you're so excited that they missed you as much as you liked that they did. That's where I'm going. Okay. I hope that made sense. On to our Geminis. Look at me. I am kicking it today. I read I hear a lot, and I've been, I'm not watching too much news because it's a little scary, but obviously when we're studying astrology, we hear a lot about the transits and what's coming up. And, some people are talking about some pretty scary stuff coming up, and, revolution and civil war and all other sorts of stuff. I really want to offer it this way. Through the most challenging times, there are light workers that have been put on this planet to bring joy and art and happiness and peace. And sometimes those challenging times make us appreciate those more frivolous, as sometimes the human will put it, emotions. So as each one of us stands as a light worker here, as we stand in what brings our passions to us and we give life to that versus looking at the trouble, then we start to shift the vibration on this planet, and we truly start to bring in the revolution, but not in a violent way, in a way that is that, there's so many songs that like run the back of my head about, all we need is love, and what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And it's not about necessarily always loving each other. It's about seeing the journey and how sometimes the challenges and the fear is where our empowerment and our achievement lie. And so we go through this with a much more fluid feeling versus bracing. And as we as a tribe stand with our lights up and on and tapped in and turned in and tuned on and tuned in and turned on, tapped in, tuned in and turned on, then we are helping to create a new experience. That's where I'm putting it. All right, on to our Geminis. First angel is Teresa. The second is Layla. The third is Rochelle. And the final is Archangel Michael. Good morning, Martina. It's great to see you here. Welcome back, William. I think I said hi to Susie. Okay, Geminis. Teresa is being joined by the Truth card. Layla's being joined by the Burden card. Rochelle is being joined by the Forgiveness card. And Archangel Michael is being joined by the Focus card. Teresa, for me, when I look at it, she talks about taking care of others and a little bit out of balance, where you're taking care of others more than you take care of yourself. And I kind of see it as worry. I see it very much as the truth is that Gemini, you've been pinging around back and forth in your head, going back and forth. Is this good? Is it bad? And I want to say, I feel like in some respects you may be struggling with your connection to spirit, because we have the Burden card and we have Layla. And that pinging may be going back and forth in such a way where it seems like the only evidence you see is the bad evidence, or the evidence that things are disruptive. And again, I want to really hit home the idea that this disruption is to shake the human out of this sort of rote Del Taco commercial of doing the same thing without thinking about whether or not it's promoting my happiness. Because in the angel's advice is Rochelle saying to follow your heart. And this is where the reconciliation of the burden begins, where the burden starts to lift. And the thing about Gemini is that, you're mercurial. You rule thinking, you rule speaking, communicating. And right now, if you're communicating from a place of extreme worry, then your focus is taking you down a path that isn't serving you, and it's starting to support the worry. Because Archangel Michael is asking you to have the courage to see your own focus. And if your own focus is sitting in worry, then worry is a form of prayer that doesn't serve you. It puts your attention and intention in the very experience that you don't want to have. So I want to offer it this way. When you find yourself going back and forth, or you find yourself stuck in a loop in some ways, because this new moon in Scorpio is offering a rebirth. But a rebirth comes in some ways through looking at the old situation. Otherwise, it would just be a birth. So giving yourself a little bit of a break as you go through this new moon. Today is the new moon. And you go through the sign. It's in the sign of depth. It's in the sign of looking deeper into a situation and offering me a revelation. So to me, this new moon is really not about outside circumstances for Gemini. It's more about being able to see oneself and how one converses with oneself, and where is one's thoughts, where are they focused. And I want to say this because this angel looks like David Lee Roth to me, and it's kind of funny because even though it looks almost like when I'm looking at his hands, it's like he's doing this right now, and it's like, just think about it a little bit less, or move a little bit more towards what it is that you want, Gemini. If the outside influences and the news is getting up your grill, go on a media diet a little bit. Okay, that's where I'm going with that. And go on to Taurus. And I want to thank Jenny so much. That was very generous of you. I didn't want to stop in the middle of the reading. People in the replay get mad at me when I interrupt myself. Teresa, I start at Pisces and work my way backwards. Everybody always starts at Aries, and I feel like it's not fair. That's my Libra sun. So Aquarius is the second one. And you can go back, and we'll have timestamps later as well. Depending upon where the new moon is in your chart will indicate how much influence it has. If it's near any of your personal planets, it's going to be important. Pay attention to that. But again, I really want to emphasize the idea of a birth. We've got the sun and the moon coming together to offer something. And the beginnings of the musings of that will take us into eclipse season, which will start on November 30th. So if indeed, Mar, you felt yourself releasing through the emotions of crying, in some ways surrendering to whatever that cleansing offers. As I've gotten older, I find I have a hard time crying for myself, but boy, I can put on a movie or some sentimental show and start crying, and the waterworks start and I don't even know when they'll stop. What is with this lighting? I'm telling you, it's driving me crazy. All right, let's go on to our Tauruses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I probably should have shut the curtains over there. I apologize. All right, here we go. Welcome, Nangula. I hope I said that properly. All right, here we go. Taurus. Our first angel is Caressa. The second is Rochelle. The third is Vanessa. And the final is Archangel Raphael. I know I do that a lot, don't I? Sorry, Small. I did it again. Welcome, Philippines. All right, here we go. Taurus. Caressa is being joined by the Dragon. Rochelle is being joined by the Letting Go card. Vanessa is being joined by the Eagle. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Movement card. I want to say this is going to be kind of interesting, and I'm going to go back around and do this in another way. But the first thing I want to say for Taurus is, if for some reason you've been dealing with some physical challenge, and I'm not talking about, the COVID and any of that. I'm talking about just normal stuff, eczema, acne, having a normal cold, spraining your ankle or a leg or something like that. I have this feeling for some reason that I'm supposed to talk about. Literally, if you've had some sort of challenge, that's going to lift. You're going to see the reconciliation of that, or the healing will take place. So if indeed, I know for me as a Taurus moon, I've had a few things, nothing extreme, but I also know that I'm on the flip side of that. Things are mending. And sometimes when reflecting shadows, that's not funny. Not funny. No nonsense on this show. All right. So for Taurus, we're at the end of a chapter, and it's the end of your disempowerment. It's the end of you feeling vulnerable to other people and their, Uranus is traveling through Taurus right now. So there's been some things going on that could come out of nowhere. And I feel like you potentially could have experienced life-changing things that made you at some point feel rather disempowered. And then that's going to change. You're coming to the end of that, because it's now time to follow your heart, sweethearts, sweet Tauruses. It's time to follow your heart, because it's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits, to break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. Because Taurus, Spirit says, have faith, and we got you. And that faith is really not about fearful faith. Oh God, I hope that this happens. It's more using that bull energy to be determined, and in this way to be stubborn that I matter. What matters to my heart matters in my life experience. So there's where the healing comes. Now, let me take it another place, because we have Jupiter and Pluto sitting together in their last little conversation before Jupiter starts to really move away. So there's a transformation of my beliefs. There's an opportunity to dig down deep and to find out as a Taurus, have I been disempowering myself? Have I been wanting things or not wanting things, or putting myself in situations that weren't authentic to me? Because now it's time for me to be authentic to what I want. And as I do that, I can feel Spirit starting to bring me experiences to anchor that. And in doing so, it creates, I want to say healing, but I don't really like the word healing, because I don't think you were broken. I think it's more about understanding that when I was going through this situation and thinking this would make me feel safe, this would make me feel secure. Remember, Taurus rules the second house of security, aka insecurity. And then as you shift and allow for the connection with spirit to illuminate how powerful your emotions are, how powerful your heart and what it is, then new experiences are going to start to come into your experience. And your job on some level is to apply the laws of allowing. And before you actually jump into allowing the experience, looking a little deeper. Is this something that's come into my grid to show me evidence that it's possible, or am I meant to take action on this dynamic? That's where I'm going. Whatever the case is, there is an illumination through, funny thing, the new moon has no light, but there is an illumination inside for Taurus. And that illumination feels like it gives you the strength and the power to say, it's what I want is important. What I want is important. Okay. All right, here we go. On to our final sign, which is Aries. And Aries, finally, Mars is moving forward. Yay. We're getting into those last moments of being able to use the magic of Aries, Mars and Aries, to move our stories forward, to use our swords and cut through the muck. All right, here we go. Aries rising, sun, moon, and stelliums. Jennifer, if you're Aries, sun, moon, and Venus, I think that's pretty powerful, especially with two personal planets in Aries. All right, here we go. I kind of love being in Aries. For a while there, I thought it was like a little bit too rough, but I think I like it. My cats, I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. So Aquarius was the second sign that I did. And you can rewind and listen to it. And there'll be timestamps. Thank you, Juan Chow, for being so awesome. And for Small Wildflowers moderating. But Juan will be putting the timestamps in a little later today. All right, here we go. Yes, it is double fire. All right, here we go. Crystal is the first angel for Aries. She says, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon. There is Opal, represents our children, our inner child. There's Adriana in the angel's advice, leading us through our intuitions. And there's Archangel Raphael with that healing. You know, that is the thing. When you think about Aries, especially Aries rising, because it's the house of self, and having Mars retrograde in the sign of self, if there was some challenges with that, you're going to come back online. Your body, your physical body, feeling more energetic, I think. Because as Mars was retrograde and even going forward in Aries, it was squaring what was happening in Capricorn, everybody. So that's, All right. Crystal's being joined by Merlin. Opal's being joined by the communications card. Adriana's being joined by the risk card. And Archangel Raphael's being joined by the movement card. Okay. When I look at Merlin, I see Merlin represents justice, balance, and alchemy. And I can't help but think Merlin is the grand wizard. Every wizard underneath was an apprentice of Merlin. So there is a part of me that says that there is karmic magic happening right now. There is something happening for all of us, but especially for Aries right now, because it isn't about having faith and hope in a disempowered way, but it's having faith and hope in a magical way. And I feel like that magical way is really about how we are communicating with spirit. How are we, because Opal, there's many cards of children in the angel deck, but this particular card represents God watching over our children on earth and in heaven. And I feel like this isn't about physical children. It's about our inner child. It's about, if you think about Mars is the warrior planet. It requires bravery, courage, independent thought, willing to act. None of those things are childlike. Those are all very adult qualities. So for me, right now, the magic of Merlin and Crystal is saying that as I communicate from a childlike place of not just, it's not about being naive. It's almost about, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's something involving personal pleasure for Aries. There's something here that has to do with Aries being able to forge a path towards their own happiness independently of what others think. That's the way I want to put it. Because Adriana is in the Angel's Advice asking me to risk a bigger picture as I communicate my wants and desires to Spirit. When I first started doing my work as an intuitive, I thought I wanted to open a spiritual bookstore and have all these people and be busy all the time. And now that I've been working on my own for a few years, I realize that I enjoy a lot of my own personal time. And as much as I enjoy being there for others, when I wasn't able to be there for others, I thought that's all I wanted. And now I realize that there's things I don't want just for others, but I want for myself. And I think this is what Aries is about right now, because I think that there's a movement and a healing towards what you want for yourself, what you want to experience in the way of your own ideas, your own thoughts, your own creations. That's where I want to put it. So as we go through this new moon in Scorpio, I believe it's an opportunity to give ourselves a rebirth in some ways. And that rebirth for Aries is about taking action, and not so much in a way of directing the action, but being led. As Adriana, if I let you lead me, because Aries wants to lead. Aries does not want to follow. So as we lead spirits, or let Spirit lead the charge in some way, we recalibrate and redefine whether or not we feel empowered or disempowered by this whole thing. That's where I think I'm going with this. So as an Aries rising myself, I'm going to look at this and say, I have faith and hope that there's a bigger picture watching over me. And that bigger picture provides for the balance of my action and my inaction. Inaction being a moment where I can take a pause and allow Spirit to come through and inspire me into the next place. And I feel like I have one more message for Aries, and I think that will be that there is transformation afoot. And this is where I don't think this is about just trusting your intuitions more, as much as it is also about going from the ugly duckling to the swan. And if you know the fable of the ugly duckling, it was really just a matter of time and evolution before the swan revealed itself. It was just perspective. So I think that's what Aries has to gain, is a new perspective. And maybe that perspective is that don't have to do everything alone. And rather than looking outside to other people to be your partners, it's looking to the heavens, because that's where the real strength of partnership lies. All right, that's pretty much it for this week. And I know everybody was talking about Zoom. I have my Zoom account now. I am able to host things. So I'm happy to do that. I just don't know how to get a hold of anybody except on Sundays and to facilitate that. So I'm going to need to have to figure that out a little bit, how we can create a little Zoom meeting. If anybody does know how to do that and wants to help educate me, you can reach me through Lada's website and email me. You can help coach me do that, and I'll help you with something. I'll trade. I don't know how to do that, but we'll figure it out. So that's it for this week. All right. I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank the new people for showing up. I want to thank my tried and true tribe members for being here every week. Hey, posted up. Good to see you. Shanlee, thank you so much again. Jenny B, and everybody who's so generous with your financial funds during this time. I appreciate it. And I'll be back next Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And we'll do more of this Angels and Astrology. Everybody have a wonderful week. Be the beautiful lights and shining people that you are. And souls, peace out. I'll see you next week.